Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club podcast, where every month pick a different theme to explore the world of cinema. And this month we're talking about Humphrey Bogart, and this week we're talking about
The African Queen.
I'm Dean.
I am Troy McClure.
And welcome to the Film Club.
So, I know this is a movie you haven't seen before.
I have not. I've heard of it before. As, you know, Humphrey Bogart, this is his Oscar win, but...
Yeah, his only Oscar win.
Exactly. I've never seen it before. I had no idea what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I assumed looking at the cover, it was like an Indiana Jones, like, adventure film, or like a Romancing the Stone kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it's The Jungle Cruise.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it's The Jungle Cruise before The Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, but it's just really interesting because this is a John Huston and Humphrey Bogart picture. It's also Katharine Hepburn, and it's also a movie that doesn't really feel so much of its time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still like a classic Hollywood movie. It's just how it looks, the fact that it's actually set on location and it's not a studio. It has a different vibe to it.
A different vibe, but it's also really beautiful in the fact that it's real. It's actual nature and location versus, you know, someone setting a stage and, you know, yeah, it's pretty and it's captivating, but I mean, being out there, you know, on location and everything is real, it just makes, you know, the difference.
Yeah, and I guess, do you want to tell everyone what the movie's about?
Well, I see you have the back of the box there, so I think you should do it.
I do. This is from the back of the box of The African Queen, VHS edition. Starring Academy Award winners Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn, The African Queen tells the timeless tale of two mismatched strangers joining forces in a common cause and finding love along the way. The story chronicles the burgeoning romance between Bogey's river rat Charlie Allnut and Hepburn's missionary Rose Sayer, as they reluctantly join forces to torpedo a German gunboat in war-torn East Africa. I totally didn't mess that up reading that.
You did okay.
Also, it says here, you know, back of the box, this mismatched couple, and that's the first thing I want to get out of the way,
Okay.
alright? So Bogart and Hepburn, they have good on-screen chemistry.
Yeah, they do.
As a comedy duo, or as like an acting pair. I do not get romantic vibes from them, really.
Well, I mean, it's also the early 50s, so they can't really divulge too much into the romance aspect because there was a problem with the censoring where, you know, they weren't a married couple, but here they are alone on a ship.
It's heavily implied they're getting it on when it fades to black.
Yeah, so it was a thing where it's like, yeah, we can't show too much of them falling in love. It has to be really brief, like with the kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's when, you know, the music changes and you get the looks from both of them where it's like, you know, I'm seeing you a lot differently than I just previously saw you like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I think censoring was kind of an issue to that where we couldn't really see them be more of a romantic pairing.
Well, not as affectionate.
Yeah.
Like, I understand them not being able to show, like, I guess a sexual nature to their relationship.
Well, that's also a reason.
Obvious.
That's also a reason why we have the marriage at the end of the movie, because the censoring board was like, you know what? We can make all of this okay if they get married at the end of the movie.
That is like a total cop-out at the end, by the way. I think the ending is, don't get me wrong, fun as hell. It's really wild, but it don't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't, but it's like, funny.
It's definitely, it's the punchline to the bit that the whole movie's been playing. But them as a romantic pairing, and I never got convinced that they were madly in love with each other.
No.
I felt more like they were two people who were kind of very happy to be around each other, very content with each other. It was more like, oh, I now found my best friend, not I found the love of my life kind of thing. And also it's kind of weird seeing Bogart and Hepburn at this stage of their career. Bogart, because he's like 52 when this is happening, and Hepburn's like 43, I believe. And I thought it was really interesting, because if this movie was made now, then...
Like The Jungle Book?
you mean the Jungle Cruise with the
Or
Rock?
sorry, yeah, the Jungle Cruise. Yeah,
Yeah, or do you mean the Jungle Book with Bill
CGI?
Murray? Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. If this was made now, yeah, you would have like The Rock, and then it would be like an actress of
Emily Blunt.
And it's like you wouldn't have people who like this where you can tell Bogart's an older guy in this. Like he is definitely, if not 50, like in his mid 40s. Katharine Hepburn, she looks like a woman of like a distinguished woman. She's like an older lady. And I like that about this because it does feel like, oh, they didn't have Bogart playing opposite Elizabeth Taylor or like somebody who's like 26 to his like 50 something. I like that there's that, and it also adds a little more weight to their interactions because I love Katharine Hepburn in this.
Oh, she's hysterical.
She does not give a shit about him or his bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
She likes him, but no, she's there to get shit done. She is the Sigma male grind set.
Exactly. And that's what he needed because, prior to that, it was just, I deliver the mail, I drink my gin, and I smoke my cigars down the river. And then she's like,
Pretty good life, by the way. Pretty solid life. He was getting fanned. He was hanging out with the locals. He was having his sweet cigar. It was a good time. Walking around with a bunch of explosives in his boat.
Yeah, and then you have Katharine Hepburn's like, no, we got to get to safety. Let's do this. And I will steer the ship if I have to. This woman knew what was up.
Well, yeah, and also the whole story is predicated on her basically having a revenge story.
Yeah.
Her... I guess we do kind of have to talk about, like, the elephant in the room about the movie.
That the director wanted to shoot an elephant on location, and Katharine Hepburn was really like, no, I'm not going to let that happen.
Well, yes, John Huston is a madman. Great director, but a madman.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, because I never looked into who directed the movie, and then seeing all the other movies he directed, I was just like, Treasure of Sierra Madre, Maltese Falcon, Key Largo, Asphalt Jungle. I was just like, wow, he did a lot of Bogart movies, but also a lot of big movies.
But yeah, the African Queen, John Huston, the elephant in the room is he wanted to film on location.
Yeah.
And the opening of the movie has like a lot of connotations to it because the whole, which is interesting because if you do read like a layer under it, it's John Huston making fun of the white people coming to be missionaries in this. It's supposed to be like East Africa, but I think it's actually shot in like Uganda or like the Congo.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because it's opening and we're seeing like actual like people native to the region with like tribal scarring, tattoos, and things like that. And I can understand why people would probably watch the first 5 minutes of this movie and think I am in for not what this movie actually is, because the movie starts with that and it's obviously showing that no, these people are very respectful of the indigenous people of the region, and the whole point of this scene is to show that the white people who came in to spread the missionary, the God stuff,
the gospel,
are incompetent morons to say the least.
Yeah,
and
I mean that brother was just fucking creepy.
Oh, he was hilarious. You thought he was creepy? He
was creepy. There was something about him that just gave me like, ooh, you're a creep.
Well, I thought he was funny because he has a line later on where he's like, once I failed out of the this and the that, and also the this and the that, and also the that and the other thing, then I became a missionary.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the only people the church could find to send here were failures of failures of failures. And it's like, and it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
But the elephant about it is we get the scene where the Germans come in.
Yeah, and they light everything up.
Yeah, they burn the village and they destroy everything, and it's very reminiscent of things that actually happened in the region, and it's like, that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
And it's not really brought up again, but what happens there is Katharine Hepburn's brother, named in the movie Brother.
But I don't think, Brother is as good as one of my favorite characters from a movie that I really couldn't stand that we did last year. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. The character that is near and dear to my heart, I'm Not Hurt.
Yes. We really should keep up with that bit of finding the background actors who are
absolutely
one name or their character name is a line from the movie. Because I love those little IMDb credits.
Me too.
But Brother dies, and Rose, Katharine Hepburn's character, is now on a revenge quest to take down the Germans who have basically come in and destroy the region
Mm-hmm.
and ruin her. What she said is, I have found God and it is in this country. Like,
Yeah.
her version of Eden or heaven.
Yeah, because, I mean, even Bogey's character in the movie, he calls it a godforsaken place, and she's like, it's not a godforsaken place. We just have the Germans that are here that are, basically tearing the country apart because they wanted to take over everything during that time period.
Yeah, and we should also mention these aren't Nazi Germans. These are World War I Germans.
Yeah, because it's interesting. He's telling brother in the movie that war has broken out because this is the early 30s.
Well, no, it's taking place in like the teens when the movie's taking place. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
1914.
That's right. The book came out in the 30s. But, he's telling the brother, yeah, war's broken out. And he's like, well, with who? And he's like, well, Germany, England, Austria.
Kind of like everyone over
Italy.
there.
He's just, basically naming all the countries in Europe. And it's just, yeah, the world is basically on fire and they have no idea.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, I said elephant in the room because
Yeah.
the opening of the movie has a lot of like connotations to it,
Mhm.
and it's a thing where somebody who's not like familiar with it would look at it and say, "Oh, this is going to be one of those like racist golden age movies," which, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of movies that are just do not fly anymore.
Yeah.
But John Huston was a really like worldly kind of guy.
Mhm.
He liked traveling. He was like actually one of these guys who was like an Indiana Jones type that just globetrotted.
He loved to hunt, and
Yeah.
that part of his, okay, we're going to go here and we're going to film on location is so that I can actually do some, hunting.
And because John Huston was this like really worldly guy, he knew that the butt of the joke is not the indigenous people. This is their world. The butt of the joke are the invading white people who just don't understand the climate, like the anything.
But they're going to come in and tell you, no, this is how you should be living. When people have been living in their own places for, thousands of years, surviving, getting things done, but we're going to tell you how to do it a different way.
Yeah, and I think that's like a thing he's doing in the beginning of the movie to, so if you get past the first 20 minutes of the movie, it's not the same for the rest. Because the rest of the movie is also so weird because it's just them on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've watched the movie in its entirety. And that's pretty much all I had remembered from it is just the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty good, for having this big feature film and it's just these two characters stuck on a boat with each other. So it's like I forgot, all the lead up. I forgot the brother. And it's interesting to see just how they kind of get together and how things change differently, how they kind of, start to open up more to each other.
Yeah, like...
Because, I mean, they're really selling that, she is very straight-laced and, I'm about God and about doing things a certain way. And he's just, carefree, living my life on my boat. And it's, her pouring his booze over the side. And he's kind of like, well, it's, after I sober up, it's kind of nice to have a lady on here that I could clean up for and, be more polite and be more human for.
Yeah, that didn't play for me. Again,
because you want to be on the boat drinking, smoking.
No, because here's the thing. In 99% of movies with this story, they start out disliking each other and grow to respect each other and then grow to love each other.
Yeah.
This starts out with them both, for the most part, enjoying each other's company and liking each other, and it's like there's no stake to their relationship.
Yeah.
Because, it starts off with them being like, well, we have this goal to go down the river, and we both obviously know we're going to fall in love with each other by the end, because we basically get along as friends already.
And it's a movie.
So it's like there's not really a lot of conflicts between the two of them. Like, Katharine Hepburn is obviously, like, in charge from the get-go.
Yeah.
She's the one driving the action. She's the one, calling all the shots. Like, Bogart's only here, Mr. Allnut,
yes,
is really only here to facilitate her revenge story, which works, but it also makes me feel like Humphrey Bogart is so, I don't know, like, underutilized as an actor in this movie. Don't get me wrong, he's playing great, like, his role as a comedy bit, but it doesn't feel like he has a lot of dramatic lead going on right here. It's more like, oh, he's playing the support to Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also a different light that we're seeing Bogart in, because we usually see him as serious, noir, the I'm brooding in the corner, and this movie, he's a lot lighter, and he's cracking jokes, and, yeah, he's serious about the boat stuff, but he's just kind of a different person.
Mm.
And I think that's why he received the Oscar for this, because he was so different than his other characters that he's portrayed over the years.
Oh, we're getting into this talk already. Okay, so, for those who don't know, The African Queen, it is the film that Humphrey Bogart won his Oscar for. Humphrey Bogart, who was in The Maltese Falcon, Treasure of Sierra Madre, Casablanca,
Key Largo.
Long list of great movies where he gave great performances. And you would be thinking, well, okay, he won his Oscar, why is that important? What else came out this year? What was he competing against?
Why don't you tell us?
It's A Streetcar Named Desire. He was against Marlon fucking Brando in A Streetcar Named Desire for...
And this was hot Marlon Brando.
This was prime Marlon Brando.
Oof.
This was Marlon Brando innovating acting at a level they had not seen before in America. This was first method acting. This is a great thing I found out. Apparently everyone thought Brando had it on lock. And Bogart was like, I gave a good performance, but that Brando kid, he kind of got me, it happens. I'll win one next year, right?
Yeah.
But Bogart won, and it's, a lot of people look at this as what the Academy did a lot in, like, the 50s and into the 60s, where they were kind of saying, hey, thanks for being a box office star for your career, but you never got an Oscar, so here's your Oscar. Because they did this with, like, John Wayne for True Grit, when he should have won for, like, The Searchers or like Stagecoach or something like that. So that's what a lot of people feel like. Like, Bogart won this as, hey, you've been like the Hollywood leading man for like a generation. You are an icon of icons. And we don't really want to give Brando credit, so here you go. Do you think that tracks? Like, this is not his best performance.
I can't say it's not his best performance. It's a different performance. So I think maybe that's why the Academy was kind of like leaning, like, this isn't the usual, not Brando, a Bogart that we get. Where
See, Brando's acting was so good. He encapsulated you right there.
Well, it's also two B's. So
yeah,
Brando, Bogart,
the queen bees of Hollywood.
Yes. So it's the thing where I think maybe the Academy was like, this is so out of the norm for him. And the movie's really good. Maybe we're gonna lean with that. But I mean, it's got to be a tough decision because Streetcar and this movie are such good movies in their own respect that it's kind of hard to just like, well, who do I give it to? They're
also completely different. Like, this one is like a love story of two people coming together, and Streetcar Named Desire is of a toxic relationship. And it's like really interesting to see these two come out at the exact same time and see how one is signaling a new generation of Hollywood and cinema, and the other one is like the swan song of the old Hollywood cinema. And it's just interesting because I think like Humphrey Bogart's actually a really good actor. Like a lot of like older actors of this generation, you watch them now and you're like, they're not actually like good actors. They're charismatic, they're fun to watch, but they're not good actors. Bogart's an actually good actor. It's kind of weird to see him in this role, and the only thing I feel is he got it as a lifetime achievement Oscar more than you had the best performance of the year Oscar.
I mean, he could have, but I have a feeling it was more, this is just out of his character.
He just played so against type, they had to give it to him.
Yeah, that, it's like, you're a phenomenal actor. You're doing something different than the noir that you kind of are gravitated and pulled towards. So it's just kind of like, I think we give it to him. He finally, really knocked it out of the park that we can, give him the Academy Award for. I mean, both great movies.
Oh, yeah. Really great movies. I would love to talk about Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do that, or we'll do a Brando month so we could really dive into Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Because another versatile actor, just so much.
I believe I have called him an acting god on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Or used him as a comparison of, I mean, this guy's good, but he ain't no fucking Brando. Like, I think I've used that phrase a lot.
I mean, our anniversary is on Brando's birthday, so...
Really weird?
Yeah.
I didn't plan that at all.
No, it's just Brando's very tied into our lives. It's weird, but it's just something that we've accepted.
But, the African Queen.
You know, another interesting point of this movie for Bogart and Katharine Hepburn was this was their first movie in color.
Which, I guess that makes... God, that really does kind of remind me that they started so fucking long ago. Because, like, both of them started acting in, like, the 30s, right?
I think so.
Because I know Katharine Hepburn was in Bringing Up Baby with Cary Grant. That was in the 30s, so she had...
Philadelphia Story.
Yeah, and, like, Bogart, he definitely worked in the 30s. So it's just kind of weird to think that this is their first Technicolor movie.
Yeah.
And also, that must be horrible to film in Technicolor, on location, in the Congo, because, we don't get this now, but Technicolor film cameras of this era were giant behemoth machines to lug around.
Yeah, there's a thing where I know Katharine Hepburn wrote a book about the experience of making The African Queen. So I'm not sure if this is from the book or it's from other interviews where she was just talking about how much manpower it took to either drive the machinery out to location or all the other boats they had to put the cameras, the lenses, all the equipment on because they couldn't put it on The African Queen because it would have sunk the boat because it was actually a real boat. So it's just, it's not...
Also, they still sunk it twice during filming.
Oh, yeah. They sunk it, but I mean, having all these heavy cameras of that time, it's not like now where we can, do helicopters...
You can film a movie on your phone.
On your phone, but you could have helicopters, drones, you could have cameras built into the boats or whatever you're filming on. But I mean, this movie was just a feat because it's just so many different things going on location.
And I think that's why this movie is so remembered by film historian people and people who look back on, like, classic Hollywood. Because this, I don't think, is the best Bogart. I don't think this is the best Hepburn. But it is so fascinating because it is one of the first Hollywood movies to be shot on location outside of America in this kind of scale. Because the movie looks expensive.
Yeah, and I mean, the movie, being in Technicolor really helps because you want to see the country of Africa in color, and it's just...
Or the continent.
The continent, sorry. But, you're just seeing, like, when they fall in love and when the world looks just more beautiful, when they make a point of that. And it's like, yeah, you want to see all those flowers, and you want to see the water, and it's just, I think it was a good call to really push for it. I know it was probably an expensive movie to make, but it looks like it was 2-3 times more expensive than what they paid.
Yeah, I think for the time, because, again, 1951, I believe the budget was, like, estimated like $1 million. Mm-hmm. But, again, this is 1951, so that's probably like a $30 million movie, something like that. And, Jesus Christ, Avengers is like $100 million movies. But it's really interesting because when I say the movie looks expensive, it's because you can't buy that kind of production design. You have to go there.
Yeah.
And they're not, like, always in, like, in the actual, like, river. Because there's a lot of, like, rear projection you see going on. But there's a lot going into it to make it seem seamless. Yeah,
I mean, like, they did, like, the times that the boat sank and they're in the water... They did that on a studio in England. So it's like some of this was shot in England, but the majority of the movie was shot on location in Uganda.
Yeah, it was like a 50-50 split depending on how you looked at it.
I think it was probably more time on location than it was in studio.
It was more time on location for the crew. I don't, like, Hepburn and... Because everyone on the crew got, like, massively ill. Except Humphrey Bogart and Sean Houston because they only drank liquor.
Yeah, I think they drank, what was it, gin the entire time, and...
Oh, it was Scotch whiskey. I looked this up, and I'm going to be testing out some of the mixed drinks they had on The African Queen.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this movie, because it's not just, the fact that this is a golden age of Hollywood movie, and, the production, but the production is such a big part of this, because everybody apart from these two got sick.
It is one of those movies that on paper should have failed based purely on the hell production it had.
I think one of the writers of the movie had a major heart attack as he was writing the screenplay to this. So it's kind of like going like back towards The Omen, where like these things were happening in production and pre-production.
And also, like, the other thing is a lot of the locals just who were hired on as extras, like, refused to show up some days because of, like, I don't know if this is actually true, but the rumor that got around was that somebody had told them that, hey, don't go to that film set because those people are, like, crazy. They're, like, eating people or some shit.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that they weren't, really discussing with the locals what they were doing. So when they were, like, shooting off bombs, with the boats and everything, some people thought they were under attack because no one warned them, hey, we're filming and we're going to be doing this kind of scene today. Just want to let you know. So explosions, there's fire. People are thinking, oh my God, are we under attack? What's happening?
Yeah, and that's like the thing. Like, the production of the movie does not distinguish its quality, because the production was horrible. Like, yeah, I said everyone got sick. Katharine Hepburn had, like, a vomit bucket off screen for, like, 80% of her time on screen.
She really, she tried to, fight it off, but it got to her, too. She ended up getting dysentery. Yeah. And it was just, yeah, that could have killed her. And a lot of people there were just so sick because they were getting sick from, again, water or the food or, the bugs, because
you're filming in, like, a literal jungle terrain.
We're not, the people there are not used to the climate there. It's like someone coming here and like, oh my God, it's so hot, or oh my God, it's, so humid, it's so cold. And
yeah, well, the thing is like, the whole filming part of it that just fascinates the hell out of me is, one, yeah, everyone got sick, but also as they're going through it and as the things that are going wrong are happening, it's like, I'm surprised no one died during this.
That's what my thought was, that, they're going to say, oh, someone, again, had a heart attack, or, the dysentery was just that strong that it took somebody out.
Or they actually tried to do the rapid sequence for real one time and somebody died. I know they didn't, thank God.
Yeah.
Because they built, like, I think it was like an 8-foot model, and they sent that down the rapids.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's much better than putting, stunt people in there to try to do this and, possibly having fatalities on your hand. But what was interesting was Bogart's wife, Lauren Bacall, she actually came out with him, during the making of this movie. And she was actually playing nurse to people that were sick on the crew. She had the foresight to bring antibiotics with her. So she was like, oh, you're not feeling well? Okay, let me get you this. Oh, let me take care of you. And I'm like, let's go, Lauren Bacall.
Have you seen
actress, and she's out here being a nurse for everybody.
Have you seen background photos of this movie?
I think I've seen a couple.
I love them because everyone looks like so done. They're so tired. Yeah. They all look haggard. They all look sweaty and nasty. And then you have Lauren Bacall, looks like she's at a photo shoot. There's like not a bead of sweat on her face. Like, oh, her hair's perfect. And I'm like, what are you doing where you're just like, everything around me just doesn't matter. Like, I'm just doing wonderfully. And everyone else is like, I just want to die.
Because she's Lauren Bacall.
But
yeah. I thought that was kind of a cool aspect of it, that, you have this major Hollywood star that's out there, hey, I'm not in this movie, but let me help you and let me take care of you, because, being sick sucks, but being, far from home with, a sickness that you've never had before, that's going to be absolutely brutal, and you have to be at work.
Oh, yeah. But, where to next?
Where would you like to go?
Well, the thing is about this movie is that it's paced really weird, so it's hard for me to beat down everything that's going on. I mean, we could talk about that, because the movie is structured really weird, because it's not like a traditional, like, rise and fall and action and beats like that, because the movie is sold as a adventure film, I believe. But it's not really action heavy. There's not like a lot of action in this. Because again, looking at it, you're thinking, is it going to be like Indiana Jones? Like Raiders of the Lost Ark or something? And it's not really. It really is like a romantic comedy. Yeah.
And it's interesting to see these two characters be funny. I mean, Katharine Hepburn, she's funny in her movies. So it's more seeing, Bogart, who's kind of, this quiet, cool character. So, here he is pretending to be a hippo, and just the two of them laughing and snorting, and it's just
so weird.
So
So weird.
But it's infectious. It made me laugh because they're having such a good time, and it's like she's like genuinely reacting to his impersonations. So it's like it's kind of nice to see them out of, these roles that we're so used to,
Yeah, that's cool old Bogart over there.
Yeah, so it's like I really liked seeing the funnier side of the story, even though they're trying to evade the Germans and get to safety.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if Casablanca is his most iconic performance, this is him most against type.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where watching the movie and talking about like the pace of it and how it's not really an action-y film. There's not a lot of adventure really going on. It's a lot of them having conversation, goofing around on the boat and things like that.
And then what's going to be the next big hurdle? Is it going to be rapids? Is it going to be there's water getting into the boat?
Is it going to be trudging through the swamps? It's stuff like that where, it's like exciting, but it's not like action-y, really, because they're really shortly like done. And also like how it's cut together doesn't, I don't want to say doesn't work, because it does work. It just doesn't escalate tension.
It's kind of like Jaws, where we have the German ship off in the distance, and it's like every now and then we see the shark.
Yeah.
And then it's gone, and then we have to deal with, just the life, in the jungle. Okay, there's alligators now. Oh, the boat's stuck. We're gonna have to get out of the boat and actually pull the boat out of the mud.
I think that's it. Because we're seeing, like, the dangers of the nature around them. The mud, the animals, the crocodiles, the rapids. But we don't have, like, a physical antagonist to, I guess, rally against. Like, they're not being chased by the Germans down the river.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're not running against time to try and catch the German boat before it runs off forever and they're not able to blow it up or seek revenge. It's a thing, because the ending of the movie, which is wild, the ending of the movie, when we finally get to see a face to the German menace that's been built up in this movie, is ineffectual. It's played for comedy, and it's, I don't know. And also when he like marries them on the boat, and it's like, aww, the Germans aren't so bad after all.
Well, no, I like the scene they get Allnut first. They capture him, and at this point he thinks that Rosie's been washed away to sea, and he's just kind of like, do with me what you'll do with me, and basically to the Germans it's, you lie, you die. And it's, we're gonna hang you, and then that's when we find out she's been saved. And then it's like, well, if you're going to die, I'm going to die. Because this has basically been the mantra of this movie. If you do something, I'm doing something. So he asks, hey, before you kill us, can you marry us? And him begrudgingly, he's like, yeah, I announce you man and wife.
Proceed with the execution.
You may now hang them. And it's just, it's those comedic bits. And then, of course, the boat gets bombed. And they're just kind of like...
The torpedo that they built out of... magic and dreams.
So romantic. But I just love that they're kind of like, there's smoke and everyone. They're like, oh, well, we got out another gem. Let's go. Let's hop in the water and swim away.
Oh.
And it just kind of goes with their characters where they kind of roll with it.
And he's singing like a jackass.
It reminded me of you.
So mean. So rude.
You sing all the time.
So rude. But the ending of the movie... It is the punchline to the joke that the movie's been setting up, where it's these two. It's not a will they or won't they. It's a when will they. Yeah. And the end of the movie is like, oh, they finally got married, and I guess they're about to get hung. And then the torpedo thing happens, and that's like, well, that's a Deus Ex Machina. And then it explodes, and they're like, hey, guys, I don't know how that happened, but hey, we made it. Woo! And then they like swim off, and then you see like the German guy like roll up and like salute his captain before he drowns. And it's like, this is shtick.
Yeah.
The whole third act is shtick.
Yeah, and I like that, it's not a super straight-laced movie. It kind of goes with Rosie's character where, it's this serious movie in the beginning, and as, time goes on, we kind of loosen up a little bit and we enjoy the scenery. enjoy the company of the characters, just the funny bits that happen in the movie.
And what you say there, it's like we are doing the same thing like Rosie's doing. That's why I feel Katharine Hepburn's the lead of the movie.
Yeah.
And Bogart is like, yeah, he's the male lead of the movie. He's in all of it, but he's supporting Hepburn's arc and her travels and her journey. And does he change because of her? Yeah, but it's mostly like, oh, he changed from being a stand-up guy who's a little bit of a drinker to a stand-up guy who now does not drink.
Stand-up guy that, has something to live for. And her, she's lived for God and for helping people, but it's turned into, I could still believe in God and be happy and enjoy life. Because I think if they had been stuck where they were, I think they would have been happy together. They would have made a life of it. They would have been okay. But it's interesting to see, she had a thing that she wanted to do. She got it accomplished. And she got a partner out of it.
It was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure how you were gonna, come out of it. You're gonna be like, oh, I liked it, or it was whatever.
I mean, are we at the time where we give our final wrap-up thoughts?
I think so. I mean, I had, facts on here. I mean, you kind of stole one from me earlier about, the Jungle Cruise.
Oh, wait, was that real? No, well, I was just memeing because it just reminded me of the Jungle Cruise. Is that shit real? Is this actually based on the Jungle Cruise?
Well, no. The Jungle Cruise is actually based on this movie.
For real?
Yeah, this was one of Walt Disney's favorite movies. And he was actually envious. He said it, I guess, in an interview. He's like, man, I wish I was able to make this movie, but they beat me to it. So part of the ride at Disneyland is based off of the African Queen. That
actually makes sense. Because the boats look exactly the same. Have you ever been to Disneyland?
Yeah, I mean, the boats look like that, and,
Is the African Queen one of the boats? The Jungle Cruise?
No, I did check the name of the boats.
Oh, okay.
It's not... I tried to see if I could pull anything that, tied it to maybe cast, crew. Couldn't really find any tie-ins, but it's tied to Disneyland history. I think one of the boats from this movie is over in the park in Florida. And then to tie it back to Disney, The Rock's costume in the Jungle Cruise from, a couple years ago is the same costume as Bogey's.
I might have to go watch the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, because...
I really hope it's as good as the African Queen.
I mean, I heard it's a good movie. It's a fun movie because it's The Rock and it's Emily Blunt, so it's going to be funny.
Yeah, it does not denote if it's going to be a good movie, but it'll be an enjoyable movie.
Yeah, it'll be an enjoyable movie. Emily Blunt isn't dressed like Katharine Hepburn's character.
I don't think she could rock the hat.
No.
Katharine Hepburn has some hat game going on in this movie.
She does, but Emily Blunt's costume is more kind of geared towards the skippers that we have on the ride in the park. So it's interesting to see kind of the two elements being fused together, because, I mean, you could pull up a picture of The Rock as his character, and it's just like, oh my god, that is...
You're just like, striking resemblance. They could be twins. Bogart, Rock... could be twin. If they walk into the room together, I couldn't tell them apart.
That's very true. But no, I mean, it caught me off guard when we got like the first pictures of the movie when they announced it, and I'm like, that's Bogart's costume. I'm not the only one that sees that, right? Like, that's so weird.
Well,
but yeah,
that is a little weird. But all right, I made that joke. I didn't think it was real.
I thought you knew. I thought you looked it up, and I was like, damn, that was a point that I was gonna make.
No, just you watch the movie and you're like, no, the hippos, that's the part in the fucking Jungle Cruise.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, you're going to the thing. Yeah, that's the part of the Jungle Cruise.
The alligators or the crocodiles, whichever. I never know.
That is the African Queen.
Yes.
So I guess your final thoughts on the African Queen.
It's a really good movie. Yeah, it doesn't feel like Golden Age of Hollywood films. I don't know if it's because we're so stuck with, that time it was a lot of black and white movies. And to see this movie kind of made me think maybe 60s, Technicolor, just...
I can see where you would get that. I was talking more like the production of it didn't feel like classic Hollywood. Because, it's not like Gone with the Wind, because that's Technicolor, but it's like grand production.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's put all the money we could find into making this look like
a larger-than-life
movie in mid-century, America.
And I mean, they accomplish it with this movie because you feel like you are out in the country with them. You don't feel like, yeah, this is a soundstage and we're going past the same little bit of, water and trees. It's like, no, you feel like you are alone out there and you never know when the Germans are going to strike or when nature is going to get you.
Yeah, the movie does have that bit of tension going on through it. Again, it's weird because a lot of the movie I've been talking, or a lot of this episode I've been talking about how, it just didn't feel right, I didn't like this little aspect, but, like, overall, I think it's a good movie. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I think it is good. I think the production alone is probably worth the watch. It's just kind of fascinating to see a movie from 51 look like this.
I mean, I'm really interested in finding a copy of Katharine Hepburn's book about the making of this movie. Just to kind of, because we hear the stories, from interviews, but to actually get it from somebody that was there and experienced it. And even though
That's not John Huston, the legendary bullshit artist.
No,
who
and I
told everyone they were 8 people during the production.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so interesting because, Bogart from the beginning didn't want to go because he was like, it's going to be humid, there's mosquitoes, I don't want to deal with this. I'd rather be somewhere where, there's AC and I'm, familiar with it.
I'm not going to get eaten by a crocodile.
That too. And Katharine Hepburn was like, I'm excited to do this. And even with the dysentery, she was still one of the last people to leave. I think it was her and Houston were the last 2 of the crew to leave.
The Africa.
To leave Africa.
Uganda, the Congo.
Yeah, I was going to say Uganda, but I was like, yeah, but they were the last 2 to actually leave. And, it's like, yeah, with a beautiful location like that and illness, she was still like, I loved it here. I don't want to leave, but I have to.
But yeah, that's, again, my final, wrap-up thoughts on The African Queen is, it's a good movie. I enjoyed watching it, but it just wasn't my, it wasn't my speed, wasn't my cup of tea. I would have preferred if they had, the stakes were a little bit higher.
Yeah.
If how they played off each other was a little different. I understand that John Huston directed Katharine Hepburn to act a little bit more friendly to Bogart. And it might just be a thing, because again, I only watched the movie the first time yesterday.
Yeah.
It might be a thing where it probably would grow on me if I watched it a few more times, but first run out of the gate, it's pretty good. I would recommend it. I
mean, that's how you usually are about movies. You have to watch them a couple of times, because the first time, you don't know if you like it, which is kind of...
that's a lie. I watched Once Upon a Time in America, and I loved that movie. There's a lot of, The Lighthouse, there's a lot of movies I watch for the first time, and I'm like, oh no, this movie's great. It's movies where it's not like a blowout of a blow my socks off experience, and then I have to think about it, and it's like, is this a good movie? I mean, I liked some of it, I didn't like all of it. I liked some of it, I didn't like all of it, you know, and it's like, yeah, okay, I would recommend it still. I think this is a good entryway into older Hollywood films, older Hollywood adventure films. This is probably a pretty good introduction to Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned Bringing Up Baby probably a half hour ago.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Hepburn. I would not recommend that movie as somebody's introduction to Hepburn. Introduction to Cary Grant, maybe. Not Hepburn. This is way more Hepburn speed in this.
Philadelphia Story is another good introduction to Katharine Hepburn.
But that was The African Queen.
It was.
Which is not Katharine Hepburn. It is The Boat.
Yes.
But what are we going to be watching next week?
Next week, we're going to be watching a movie that is apparently near and dear to Dean's heart, even though he said that he hasn't seen it in 10 years. The Treasure of Sierra Madre.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm just going to spend the whole time talking about how it ties into Fallout New Vegas.
Of course you are.
Oh, yeah. Also, how Treasure of the Sierra Madre, when Paul Thomas Anderson was writing There Will Be Blood, he watched The Treasure of the Sierra Madre every day as he was writing it. So if you ever watch those movies, they tie into each other really tightly. Yeah, I like Treasure of the Sierra Madre, and I have not seen it in many years. And
this is a movie I've seen pieces of, so it's going to be brand new to me to see it in its entirety.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait. It is definitely the classic Hollywood, greed story.
Which you love.
I do. I really do. But where could they go to watch it or listen to it?
Well, if you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube. Leave a comment, subscribe, like a podcast video that are just slideshows, but maybe not for long.
That's right. We have some stuff coming up in the future. But until then, please enjoy our slideshows.
And if you wanted to see when we're going to do something new, where could they go?
You can find us on Instagram at the Film Club Podcast, where we post trivia, daily stories, upcoming episodes, and just random adventures we go on.
And with that,
we'll see you next week at the Film Club.
Have a good week, everybody.